The Chiefs are coming off an absolutely dismantling of the Las Vegas Raiders. You'll love to see it, especially if you're a Chiefs fan. And prior to last week's game, I asked the question, will the Chiefs win 10 games in a row? Can this Chiefs team win out to finish the season? They have a very hard schedule, but I wanted to look into what would keep the Chiefs from winning the rest of their games, going into the postseason on a hot streak. And so I decided to flip the question on its head, and instead of look at what was causing the Chiefs to win their games, what happened in their games where they lost? And can they avoid doing that going forward? So in the Chiefs' 3 losses, their first week versus the Chargers, they had 10 penalties. One of those penalties extended a drive that led to a touchdown. They allowed 27 points and gave up 394 yards. So what happened in that game is that the Chiefs' defense didn't get the job done. That's why they lost that Week 1 matchup. Week 2 versus Philadelphia, they had 6 penalties for 45 yards. One drive was extended. It led to a punt. They gave up 20 points, only allowed 216 yards. They lost the turnover battle, but throughout the game, they had desperate decision-making. So once again, they shot themselves in the foot by making poor choices throughout the game, playing desperate, and not playing a game plan or a strategy that was conducive to winning a defensive football game. They were far too aggressive. They were in desperation mode. They should have never have done that in that game. If they take the points throughout the game, they win that game. Then their third loss versus Jacksonville, they had 13 penalties for 109 yards. One of those drives, one of those penalties extended the drive that eventually led to a touchdown. And one of those penalties negated a game-winning interception. The defense gave up 31 points. They allowed 319 yards of offense, so way too many points for how many yards they allowed. They did win the turnover battles. They did win the turnover battle in that game, but they did have one turnover that didn't help their situation. So what has happened in the Chiefs' losses so far this year, and what sets them apart from their wins? And you will be shocked to hear this, but it's the same thing it's always been. It's the same as it ever was. The Chiefs, in their losses, have shot themselves in the foot. Either through poor defensive strategy, Week 1 versus the Chargers, poor game-time decision-making versus the Eagles, or poor discipline in terms of not getting penalized versus the Jaguars. The last 2 games, the Chiefs have looked crisp. They have looked ready to play. And I think that this is going to be the status quo going forward for this Chiefs team. They're going to play good, clean football for the remainder of the year. And before the season started, I predicted the Chiefs will go 13-4. I am not budging from that prediction. I still think the Chiefs go 13-4, and I think their one loss will either come against the Buffalo Bills or the Indianapolis Colts. They're going to win the rest of their games, except for one. I'm sticking with my prediction that the Chiefs will go 13-4 to finish the season. Will that be good enough to get the 1 seed? I don't know. It depends on if anyone can stop the Colts. The Colts right now are looking like one of the best teams in the NFL. Their offense is legit. They have offensive playmakers all over the place. It's been 7 weeks. No one has still been able to stop them or figure out their offense. We'll see what happens. Eventually, some defense in the NFL is going to figure something out against the Colts. And then every other defensive coordinator and his grandmother is going to replicate that scheme versus the Colts. And we'll see if they can adjust. But as of now, no one's been able to figure out this Colts offense. And as each week goes on, it seems more and more likely that this Colts offense is here to stay.
Profit X, America's #1 sports prediction market, is a peer-to-peer sports prediction market where users play against each other instead of a sports book versus the house. You will almost always get the best price on any spread, money line, total, or player prop since you're playing against other people rather than the book. Profit X offers sweepstakes-based dual currency system, either profit points or profit cash, and operates across 40 states. Use the promo code RGR and claim up to $200 in profit cash on all plays for the first 30 days playing on the site. ProfitX gives you the best lines in the space, and you can even set your own odds on specific wagers on your players, all at ProfitX. Go there and use the code RGR. Terms and conditions apply.
Moving into this next week's matchup versus the Washington Commanders, there's a serious question at play as to whether or not Jaden Daniels is going to be able to play in this football game. Last week versus the Cowboys, the Commanders were getting blown out, and Jaden Daniels exited that game with a hamstring injury. Hamstring injuries are one of the most difficult injuries to deal with in the NFL because of how sensitive they are and how likely they are to crop up again if you rush a player back. You notice that Lamar Jackson has been out the past 3 weeks after suffering a hamstring injury versus the Chiefs. At first, everyone laughed it off and said he was just quitting on his teammates. But turns out he's missed the last 3 weeks, and Jaden Daniels has a very mild hamstring injury according to the MRI that he was given, and the Commanders, through gamesmanship, have not yet released whether or not Jaden Daniels will play in this football game. So let's do some reasoning and think about what is the best decision for this Commanders football team and try to put ourselves in Dan Quinn's shoes, the head coach for the Washington Commanders. So right now, the Commanders are 3-4. They have a backup quarterback in Marcus Mariota, who has some experience, has ran that offense before. He's not a sure thing, but they could do a lot worse in terms of backup quarterback. With a 3-4 record, the Commanders are still in a legitimate hunt for the postseason. The question is, do you risk missing Jaden Daniels for more games because you rush him out there early versus Kansas City in a game that you might lose or you're predicted to lose? Or do you rest him for a game or two and then bring him back and make sure you're confident for the rest of the season that he's able to do those things that make him such a successful quarterback, like scrambling? Scrambling is a huge part of Jaden Daniels' game, and if his hamstring is not 100%, it's going to cause problems for that Commanders' offense. The Commanders' upcoming games, they have Kansas City this weekend in Kansas City. Then they have Seattle at home. They have Detroit at home. Then they go to Miami, and then they have a bye. So this is not an easy 3-game stretch for the Commanders, and with their 3-4 record, there's a realistic chance they head into their game versus Miami with a 3-7 record. I believe what gives the Commanders the best chance to go into their bye with the best record is if the Commanders rest Jaden Daniels this game, let his hamstring get right, give him a little more time, and then bring him back versus Seattle or Detroit. So if I was a betting man, I would say that Jaden Daniels is not going to start versus the Chiefs, and if he does, the Commanders are putting him at risk and also their season at risk because he could aggravate that hamstring and then be out for more time. I think strategically this is a good decision for the Commanders to sit Jaden Daniels because currently the Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites at Arrowhead versus the Commanders. And typically these spreads, I think, has a chance of maybe a 5% or 10% chance that the Commanders will win the game. Also, these spreads are shaping up as though Jaden Daniels will not play. So Vegas is kind of hedging their bet that Jaden Daniels is not going to play, and that's why the spread is so big. Added into all this, the Commanders were in the NFC Championship game last year. Dan Quinn is not on the hot seat. He doesn't have to make those rushed decisions that a lot of other head coaches have to make. He can play the slow game here. He has time. He has a very good quarterback, and I think because he has the job security, because it's likely that the Commanders do not win this football game, it makes the most sense just to sit Jaden Daniels and play the long game, because Dan Quinn has time. He's not going anywhere at the end of this season. No matter how badly the Commanders do, he has that job security, and that gives him the comfort to make decisions that are best for the longevity of his players, best for the longevity of his team. So I think Mariota is going to start this game, and I think the Chiefs win this game handily in Kansas City. It won't be a 31-0 blowout like it was last week, and I don't really know if the Chiefs are going to cover this spread. The 10-point spread is pretty big, but I'm picking the Chiefs to win this game by a score of 33-21. So I do think they cover. I think Mariota starts, and the Chiefs have another big-time victory where they don't make the mistakes that they made in their 3 losses. They seem to have cleaned things up. They seem to be in championship caliber form, and I think that going forward, we're going to be seeing this new Chiefs team, and it's going to be glorious to watch. So now's your time to let me know down in the comments, what are your predictions for this Commanders game? Do you think the Chiefs win big? Do you still feel confident that the Chiefs can finish the season 13-4? Do you think they run the table? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, hit that like button and subscribe if you have not done so already. We've got nothing but love and appreciation for all of you here at RGR Football. I am very glad to get to share this message with you and use this platform. I am so appreciative. So thank you so much for stopping by. This is Gary signing out. Here's to a good weekend of football, hopefully injury-free for both the Chiefs and the Commanders. Y'all take care.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.